Wiki, a lawyer, is here in the studio to also give us his perspective on the discussion. Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning, Mehizoje.
All right, let's start with
Good
you,
morning.
Chiku. Of course, I felt your pulse just before we came on set, just to know what you think of this ticket. We started this conversation during the newspaper review segment, and of course, I'm sure you heard some of what our reviewers said. Obviously, Tinubu and the APC are thinking the possibility of winning the 2023 presidential election. So winnability is what it is all about, borrowing, that word, winnability. And if you look at it, for those who argue that competence is not something that is domiciled in only a certain set or class of people, would you say that the APC and Tinubu have made a wrong decision here?
Thank you so very much, Senami. Nigeria is a multi-religious society, and it is the democratic right of a political party or their candidate to make a choice of a running mate. So whatever choice they have made is their right to make the choice, and it is also the right of Nigerians to ask themselves and also analyze and eventually decide whether that choice that was made was a right choice or a wrong choice. So these rights must be established first of all, and but the issue there is the reason for that choice being called competence was a very wrong choice. And when you start a race wrongly, there is this tendency and a very high level of likelihood that you will also end wrongly, because by the time you get your beginning correctly, exactly, you would have been late in the race and the race would have been finished. Now, when you talk about in governance, you talk about inclusivity. You go to, let's give women 35% affirmative so that women can participate. It is not that there are no competent men available, but because we have to include women, we must make effort to include women. That's when you talk about because there are also very competent women. When you say, let's give the youth a chance, it's because there are competent youths and you must deliberately make a space to include them, on the table. So when you now come to a society like Nigeria and you bring a Muslim ticket, someone now asks you, but there's another demography that you should have added just to balance the ticket. Why not add the Christian? And I think the most sensitive job, apart from that of the president and the vice president currently in our constitution, I deliberately use the word constitution, is the secretary to the government of the federation. And that man so far hasn't had controversies around him. He handled the COVID when it happened, when many people were afraid and locked up. That man was always somewhere coordinating.
What man are you referring to?
I'm referring to the secretary to the government of the federation, Boss Mustafa. He's a Christian and he has shown competence. So when you talk about competence, he is a competent face before Nigerians. Now that Nigerians don't need to check, what's his history? No, we are already seeing him. So when you have such a person available to be who could have been chosen, and you now choose a Muslim and you now tell us it is competence, and people are now telling us, he's a former banker. No, Nigerians don't want to remember if he's a former banker. What Nigerians can remember is his performance currently in the Senate and his performance as a governor of Borno State for 8 years. He exhausted the full length of his term as a governor, and when you look at that term, what was quintessential about that tenure? What pops up is the man's controversies with Boko Haram. There are allegations that he was connected to Boko Haram, which were not at any time robustly denied, because facts continue to pop up and pop up and pop up to connect him to Boko Haram beyond mere allegations. Everybody remembers Kabiru Sokoto, where he was arrested. It was in this man's governor's lodge. While he was governor, Kabiru Sokoto, the Nyanya bomber, was arrested in his lodge. He later escaped at Abaji when they went for investigation and was rearrested by the DSS in Taraba. So what accesses did he have? How did he get into the governor's lodge before he was arrested? Now, when you also look at the issues surrounding the Chibok girls and the unfortunate abduction of the Chibok girls, that's some 8 years ago, you see that there was already a directive by the federal government that exams based on the security situation should be conducted at a particular location. There was compliance by governors from other states. He deliberately refused. So if you also have a man who could not appreciate a security report, who could not understand and act promptly on a security report when it had been received, then in the end we'll have a question like the president asked Nigerians at the prisons, when there was already intelligence that there was likelihood of an attack. How did it fail? The question now is for Kashim Shettima to really come out to Nigerians and show. But when you now look at the religious circumstances around him, PDP, like my elder brother Majid said, talked about winnability. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have just told Nigerians it was for winnability that he chose Kashim Shettima, not for competence. Because if it's about competence and Nigerians look back, what is his performance in the Senate? How many bills has he sponsored in the Senate? When we look at the record, you see that competence did not come near as one of the reasons for his choice.
Let's find out
if you were a politician or you are vying for the office of the president of Nigeria, expectedly you will make decisions that you perceive, you believe will help you win that election. And for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this is going for a Muslim ticket is what he believes will help him win the elections. Using that political calculation, has he really done anything wrong?
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is respected as a political strategist. So beyond winning the elections, the next first thing he did showed that maybe the guy was being overrated. Now, let's give a typical example of considerations of the religious sensitivities of our country. Beyond winning an election, you have to rule a country. So what if there is no country to rule? In 2010, may his soul rest in peace, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua died. Vice President Jonathan, by doctrine of necessity, a novel doctrine of necessity, which did not even have a place in our constitution because I challenged it in court then, was made the president of the country. He had a choice to make. Now, if he had been in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's shoes today, well, he may have actually asked Senate President David Mark, who was the then Senate President, to step up and become his vice president. And when he does that, they will make move for Senator Ike Ekweremadu, Deputy Senate President then, to step up and become the Senate President. And all of oppositions can now be filled. You can see that there was a balancing in the Senate then. There was a North and South, but it was a Christian ticket. By whatever means they had to do, they did that. Yar'Adua was president then, if you remember, when they were both elected. So if Jonathan had, in consideration of the insensitivities of his heart to win elections, say, okay, David Mark, step up and become my vice president, and it will be a Christian ticket. The people who are selling Tinubu today and Kashim Shettima should just ask themselves, what would they have said in response to Jonathan if he had done that? Now, this was a situation that would have made a president and a vice president without needing the votes of Nigerians, but democratically. It would have been a democratic choice, but it wouldn't have needed directly the votes of Nigerians. Yet Jonathan considered the sensitivities of the moment and chose the then governor of Kaduna State to be his vice president. But we must state it clearly that Tinubu has shown that he has a challenge with having Christians near the villa. Tinubu has shown that right from 1999 that he became governor. He challenged and opposed Obasanjo throughout the 8 years of Obasanjo. But he was friends then, throughout, with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. People may not have known maybe why then, but benefit of hindsight now, it could have just been the religious affinity that he allowed himself to continue to be friends with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Well, can you really say that, knowing that the same Tinubu is the one who, got the current vice president,
don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Yes,
don't go there.
Tochukwu.
Allow me build my building from the foundation.
We don't have all the time, though.
I'll do it. I do it my own in seconds. Now, that done and established, because the proof of his relationship with Atiku was Atiku picking the presidential ticket of ACN where he was the Lord in 2007. Now, Go to Lagos, people will tell you, but the current governor is a Christian, the one before him was a Christian. I said no. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu had allowed 16 years for Muslims in Lagos before there were agitations, and PDP wanted to cash in on those agitations. He now gave Ambode the ticket. 4 years after, he didn't allow Ambode, the first Christian to be governor under his rule, did not complete his 8 years, and he removed him before Sanwo-Olu came.
And you're saying that's because of religion, Tochukwu?
Oh yes, the facts are clear. Now, finally, let us look at the vice presidential issue.
There were a lot of other issues that were in the news.
The major issue was that the Christians in Lagos said it is our turn.
What about the council? The council.
The Christians in Lagos had now taken that decision before they now made that consideration. But that is what it is.
There were other issues.
Look for any other issues you will not find. Now let's go to the issue of the vice president.
You have to prove this
These
with
are
facts.
They are facts. I don't do without
refer
facts.
to them.
Let's
refer to them
now,
so that we can be on the safe side. Let's refer to those facts.
He insisted that it wasn't going to. Professor Yemi Oshibanjo came in as a last gasp effort to not to lose out, because he had insisted it was going to be a Muslim ticket, which caused his problem with Dr. Bukola Saraki, because Dr. Bukola Saraki though a Muslim, led the opposition to say, no, we cannot do this. We're already being painted as a Muslim party, as the Northern Party, and you want to do a Muslim ticket. So if at the time of 2014, as an opposition party, he could think in that direction, then you should know that he accepted Osinbajo not because he willingly presented Osinbajo, but because there was no other option available to him. He now brought in a doctor. So the issues are simple. And it's unfortunate that it is in this season of Eid that we are discussing matters like this, which would inflame, our Muslim brothers. It's unfortunate. But why? The question is, why would Bola Ahmed Tinubu twist this thing to put it in this season? Today is just the 12th. There is the 13th, there is the 14th, when the Eid season would have been over. He could have made these announcements. He had a closed-door meeting with the president. He came out and announced it. And if you watch that video again, you will hear him say he had not even told Kashim Shettima. So he could have ordinarily kept quiet and announced it after the season. So that these inflammatory comments coming from a lot of people, which now make it look like people hate the Islam religion. No, it's not about that. It's not. But the thing is this. Bola Ahmed Tinubu had sold out his religious brothers and presented them in a light that they shouldn't have been presented. In 1993, when MKO Abiola had a race with Babagana Kingibe, what happened was that there was nothing like Boko Haram, priests were not being, there was nothing like even the IPOB killing Muslims, or there was nothing like, those challenges were, there was in sprinklings, isolated cases. But now, there is this fear. What a presidential candidate of a ruling party, not just a major party, but the ruling party should do is Nigeria first. What will bring Nigeria closer? But you have now taken a decision, fundamental as it were, that will tear Nigeria apart the more. There should be a country for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to rule, but now he has removed that country from his table.
I'm sure that
religious and ethnic lines. However, let's look at another angle of this debate. If PDP wins the 2023 elections and, His Excellency, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar becomes President of Nigeria, it will mean that for 16 years, the Northern Muslim would have held sway in Nigeria for 16 full years. That is a lot. How is this going to affect, how is this going to affect the political terrain moving forward?
Thank you. You know, the greatest disservice Bola Tinubu did to the Muslims is to throw in these debates, which people will now have to, many people will end up making unguarded statements, and those statements will look like expression of hatred for Islam. That is not the target of this. Because just like he has said, while he's shouting against Muslim ticket, he said he's going to vote Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, another northern Muslim. So the problem is not the Islam, but the problem is the visuals we have presented to the people. In 2014, when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu insisted on a Muslim ticket, he said it was for them to pull out the votes. Eventually, that did not happen. And as an opposition party, APC with a balanced ticket won that election. So it shows that you don't basically need a Muslim ticket to win elections in Nigeria. In 2011, with Jonathan as a Southern Christian and Buhari as a Northern Muslim, Jonathan won that election the northern Muslims voted for Jonathan in very many states. Jonathan won in many states in the core north, in the northwest, and in the northeast. He won some states there. So, for Tinubu to always believe that he cannot, that his party cannot win election except you do a Muslim ticket, is very bad visuals he creates and presents to Nigerians, and also disservice to the Muslims. And I think, and I believe, and indeed, it should be my responsibility now to call out the leadership of the Muslim Ummah, to call Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stop the visuals he's presenting, that you cannot win elections in Nigeria except it is a Muslim ticket. Now, balancing it with what you asked about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar for the northern Muslim. So if somebody who is campaigning before us here now says the Muslim ticket is a no-no, and yet he supports another Muslim, shows you clearly that the issue is not with Muslims. The issue is not against Islam, but the issue is with the divisive mood that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is presenting to Nigerians. So to that extent, the choice of Shetima is wrong from the beginning through to the end. And the choice of Shetima is not the only choice that could have pulled out votes for APC the way Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is presenting it. All this issue of reminding us about your wife being a Muslim should not have come. That's your personal family issues. You don't bring them to national, to the, we focus like this, because if we begin to analyze it, and Tochukwu Azuke will tell him, sorry, did you leave your wife as a Christian so that as you are dominating her at home, you will now be high? Yes, as I dominate you in this house, that is how I will be dominating Christians outside. That will be my view. As I'm dominating you in this house, I will also be dominating Christians outside. So now you are the one that is throwing your family in, and we are giving you the interpretations of that. So Asiwaju has presented a bad ticket. I believe there is time. The window has not closed. Masari has, withdrawn. The window has not closed. There is still time. Today is 12th. They have tomorrow 13th is a work day. Thursday 14th, another work day. They can do something, and then by Friday, they can now submit the name of someone who can give APC a chance to win this election. Their target is to win an election. Except two things will happen for APC now, is that they will use incumbency powers of a ruling party to impose and foist Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which Nigerians will resist, or that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants to cash in on the governorship tendencies, the Boko Haram tendencies, which have been alleged that Alhaji Shetima has been connected to, so that those people can now move in. Now, while he's moving with his MC Oluomos from the southwest, Shetima can now be moving with his connections and people who are okay with him from Boko Haram camp. If that is the issue, if that is what Asiwaju wants to present to Nigerians, that means Nigerians should see that the man does not love Nigeria. He wants a personal ambition. You can't keep your personal ambition above an entire country of over 200 million people. Nigeria should come first. Winning an election. There's a governor in Imo State. Since he was made governor, is that one governorship? Is that one governance? What is happening in Imo State? Is that the mood the Imo people would have wanted to be today? But he is governor. Let him be governor now. But look at the situation in the state. So if we blindly allow these people without resisting it now, and they get in and become president, and then there is a Nigeria that cannot be held together because it has been now divided clearly and fundamentally from the foundation. What will be the fate of Nigeria?
All right, we have to take a break at this point. Thank you, Tochukwu. We'll be
sorry for your intervention this morning. Tochukwu Azuke, your final thoughts.
All right. Like I said before, if it wasn't just for sheer hatred for Christians not to go near the villa, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu wouldn't have chosen Kashim Shetima, who is also a northern Muslim from the northeast, just like Atiku Abubakar, who is from the northeast. Because why would a northern Muslim now, since you say you are looking for the votes of the northern Muslim, why would a northern Muslim from the northeast leave the beauty of the presidency, which Atiku Abubakar is holding, and now go for the vice presidential slot? But even because Atiku had taken that, you would have taken another demography from the northeast. Maybe by just picking a Christian from there, who will now, the Christians in the northeast will pull out, You have a state like Taraba State that is totally
right,
governed by the Christians. You have Adamawa, where you have a large Christian population. You have states like that. So you have a large
your
number.
Final thought.
So
we have
finally,
to leave it.
Finally,
We have to leave it
the
here.
visuals presented by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very wrong for Nigeria. He didn't think Nigeria when he made that choice. And
Thank
Nigerians
you
must hold
very
him
much,
responsible for that.
gentlemen, for your contribution as we discuss the controversy over the Muslim ticket of the
Thank
APC.
you.
We've been joined by political analyst Opunabo Inkotaria and a lawyer to Chukwu Ohazurike. Thank you to Chukwu for
Always
your
a pleasure.
time.
All right, Kakaki,